I still remember that day like it was yesterday. The sunlight was soft but warm, spilling through the tall windows of the hotel lobby. I had just arrived in the city for a short trip, planning to meet some old friends I hadn't seen in years. The hotel was busy, filled with the low hum of chatter, rolling luggage, and the occasional beep of the elevator. Everything seemed normal at first, but I had no idea that this simple check-in would turn into one of the most unforgettable and shocking experiences of my life. My daughter-in-law, who had decided to join me for the trip, was acting strangely from the moment we entered. She kept glancing around nervously, whispering under her breath, as if she expected someone to appear out of nowhere. I didn't think much of it at first. Maybe she was just stressed about traveling, I thought. But then, as we approached the reception desk, things took a strange turn. A small, elderly woman stood behind the counter, arranging papers and quietly smiling at the guests. She had a calm presence, gentle and unassuming, the kind that made you feel safe immediately. She looked so ordinary, so harmless, that I didn't think twice about her. But my daughter-in-law, for some reason, stiffened and leaned toward me. Her voice barely above a whisper. "Don't talk to the old lady. She's just the cleaner," she said sharply, almost as if she were afraid someone might overhear. I froze. Her words didn't make sense. I looked at the woman, confused, and then back at my daughter-in-law. "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice tight with a mix of curiosity and unease. She's nothing. Just ignore her. Don't ask questions," my daughter-in-law said, her eyes darting toward the receptionist as though she were expecting her to do something. Strange. I didn't want to argue, but something about her tone sent a shiver down my spine. The hotel lobby, which had seemed so warm and ordinary a moment ago, suddenly felt cold. The chatter around us seemed distant, like it was happening in another world. I could hear my own heartbeat, loud and uneven, echoing in my ears. I approached the desk cautiously, forcing a polite smile. "Hello, we have a reservation," I said, trying to mask the unease creeping up inside me. The woman looked up, her eyes kind, and nodded gently. She typed something into her computer, her movements calm and precise. There was no hint of anything unusual in her demeanor. Yet my daughter-in-law's insistence still echoed in my mind as we waited for the keys. I noticed small details I hadn't before. The way the old lady's fingers trembled slightly as she worked, the faint scar on her hand, the quiet way she listened to each guest as if absorbing their every word. Something about her felt deliberate. Not threatening, but significant in a way I couldn't yet understand. Finally, the keys were handed over. I thanked her and we walked toward the elevator. My daughter-in-law whispered again, "Remember, don't talk to her. And whatever you do, don't go near the back office." Her words hit me like a cold splash of water. The back office. Why would a hotel have a warning like that? I tried to ignore her, telling myself it was just her being dramatic. But curiosity had already planted a seed in my mind. I couldn't stop thinking about the receptionist and the unusual way my daughter-in-law had reacted. Later that evening, as we unpacked our bags in our room, I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching. The soft hum of the air conditioner and the faint sounds of the city outside did little to calm me. I found myself walking to the window, staring at the lights in the distance, trying to convince myself I was just imagining things. And then there was a knock at the door. My heart jumped. "Who could that be?" I muttered, moving cautiously toward the door. My daughter-in-law was unusually quiet, her eyes wide with something between fear and anticipation. I peeked through the peephole. No one was there. Just an envelope on the floor. I bent down and picked it up. My name was written on it in neat, careful handwriting. Inside there was a note. It was short, but the words froze me in place. "You shouldn't trust what you see. Some people are never what they appear to be. Watch closely." I backed away from the door, my mind racing. Who had left this, and why? Was it a prank or something more sinister? My daughter-in-law looked at me then, her face pale. "I told you. There's more to her than you think," she whispered. That night sleep was impossible. I lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about the old lady at the reception. The soft rustle of the sheets, the distant sound of a car horn, even the faint hum of the air conditioner, all of it seemed louder, sharper, somehow warning me that something was about to happen. Little did I know that the events set in motion that day would change everything. What seemed like a simple hotel visit was about to unravel into a series of secrets, lies, and shocking discoveries. And somehow, that old lady, the one my daughter-in-law dismissed so casually, was at the center of it all. I still remember that night, lying awake trying to calm my racing thoughts. The note, the strange warning, the eerie feeling that someone was watching, all of it lingered. I had no idea that by the next day, my life would take a turn I never could have imagined. And the question that haunted me most wasn't just who had left the note, it was, why little did I know? The hotel held secrets deeper and darker than I could ever imagine. Secrets that some people would do anything to hide. And I was about to stumble straight into the middle of them with no idea how dangerous it would become. I still remember that day like it was yesterday, the moment the envelope and its warning note changed everything. After the shock of finding it, I tried to calm myself, but my thoughts kept spinning out of control. My daughter-in-law seemed tense, pacing the room, her lips pressed tightly together. She avoided looking at me, but I could sense her unease. It was as if she already knew something I didn't. And the idea made my stomach twist with anxiety. I decided I couldn't just sit in the room and wait for something to happen. I needed answers. So I told my daughter-in-law I need to go back to the lobby. I have to see her. The old lady. I need to understand. She froze, her eyes widening with alarm. No, don't go near her. Please, just let it be. Whatever you do, don't follow this curiosity. But curiosity and maybe fear of the unknown was stronger than caution. I left the room quietly, trying not to make a sound. The hallways of the hotel were unusually empty at that hour, the carpet muffling my footsteps. The dim lighting cast long shadows, and each flicker of the bulb made me flinch. My heart was pounding, but I couldn't stop myself. When I reached the lobby, it was quieter than before. Most of the guests were gone, and only the soft hum of the computers and the occasional beep from the elevators filled the air. And then I saw her, the old lady at the reception, still at her desk, calmly arranging papers. Her back straight, her face serene. It was almost as if nothing had happened, and yet the warning in the note made me certain that everything about her was significant. I approached slowly. "Excuse me," I began, my voice low, careful not to startle her. I've found this note and I need to understand. Please, can you help me?" Her eyes lifted slowly. For a moment I felt a strange connection, a piercing gaze that seemed to look right through me. She didn't say anything at first, just stared. And then, softly, she said, "Some things are meant to be discovered, but not all at once. Some truths are dangerous if revealed too soon." Shivered. Her calm voice and gentle tone made her seem harmless, yet her words were heavy with warning. It was the kind of statement that makes your skin crawl, the kind that hints at secrets buried deep. Before I could ask more, my daughter-in-law appeared behind me, her face pale and trembling. "I told you not to come here," she snapped, grabbing my arm. "You don't understand? You can't. Some things are not meant for ordinary people like us." "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice shaking with frustration and fear. "Why are you so afraid of her?" She shook her head, almost in disbelief. "You don't know. I don't know if you can handle it. But you have to trust me. She is not what she seems. There are rules here, rules that must not be broken." The receptionist watched silently, her eyes still calm, her hands folded neatly on the counter. There was a strange authority about her, almost magnetic, and I realized that my daughter-in-law wasn't exaggerating. Something about this woman was different. A sudden noise startled me, a low, creaking sound coming from the back office. My eyes went wide, and my daughter-in-law froze as well. "No," she whispered fiercely. "Don't look there. Just leave it." But my curiosity was overwhelming. I glanced toward the partially open door, seeing faint light flickering from inside. It was like the air itself shifted, charged with something I couldn't name. I wanted to run, but my legs felt heavy, rooted to the spot. Something told me that whatever was inside that room held answers, but answers that might change everything I thought I knew. Suddenly, the receptionist spoke again. Her voice was soft, almost musical, but every word carried weight. Some people are ready to see. Some are not. You have a choice. Step back and leave, or step forward and face the truth. But be warned, the truth has a cost. I took a small step toward the door, heart hammering. My daughter-in-law grabbed my hand and shook me. "Stop. Please, stop," she pleaded, tears welling in her eyes. "If you go in, you won't come back the same. You'll regret it forever." I hesitated. Fear battled curiosity, my pulse racing. My mind screamed at me to run, to retreat to safety. But my instinct was telling me that I couldn't turn away, not now. Not when something so important was at stake. As I took another step, the lights in the lobby flickered suddenly. For a brief second, everything went dark. A cold breeze swept through the room, though no windows were open, and I felt an almost tangible presence behind me. My skin prickled. The hair on my arms stood on end. Something unseen was watching. When the lights returned, a back office door was slightly ajar, but the receptionist was no longer at her desk. In her place was a single envelope lying exactly where she had been standing. Trembling, I picked it up. Inside was another note, this one shorter, sharper, almost urgent. "Do not trust her. Not yet. You are closer than you think. But beware, someone else is watching you too." I froze. My heart pounded harder than ever. "Watching me," I whispered to myself. The sensation of being observed was overwhelming. I glanced around the empty lobby. Oh, just shadows and the low hum of machines. But the feeling didn't leave. It was real. Someone or something was paying attention to every move I made. My daughter-in-law grabbed my arm again, pulling me back toward the elevator. "You need to leave," she said urgently. Now, and as we stepped into the elevator, my mind raced with questions I couldn't answer. Who had left the notes? Why was the receptionist acting so strangely calm? And what exactly was she hiding in the back office that was so dangerous my daughter-in-law would beg me to stay away? Little did I know, that night was only the beginning. What I had seen and what I was about to discover would push me deeper into a world I didn't understand. A world where secrets had a price and trust was a dangerous gamble. I still remember that night like it was yesterday. The elevator ride back to our hotel room felt endless. The soft whir of the machine and the faint smell of cleaning solution clung to my senses, making me more aware of every sound. My daughter-in-law held my hand tightly, but her fingers were cold, trembling with fear. She didn't speak much, just kept glancing nervously toward the lobby, as if expecting someone or something to appear. When we entered the room, I shut the door quietly behind us, leaning against it for support. My heart was still pounding. The notes, the strange warnings, the back office side couldn't stop thinking about them. And most of all, I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching me. "I can't understand it," I said softly, almost to myself. "Why would the old lady leave the notes? And why are you so afraid of her?" My daughter-in-law shook her head, avoiding my gaze. "There are things you don't know. Things you can't understand yet. I've been trying to protect you." I frowned. "Protect me from what? It's just a hotel. She's just a receptionist, an old lady. How dangerous can she be?" Her face paled. "You really don't know anything. You shouldn't even be here. She has power. Power you can't even imagine. And there are rules. Rules that, if broken, things go wrong." Her words chilled me. My stomach twisted. What kind of power could a quiet old lady at a hotel reception have? And what rules? As the night deepened, I couldn't sleep. Every little sound, the creak of the air conditioner, the soft hum of the city outside, even the distant footsteps in the hall made me jump. The envelope on the table seemed to glare at me, as if daring me to open it again. Finally, I couldn't resist. I picked it up and read the note once more. "Do not trust her. Not yet. You are closer than you think. But beware, someone else is watching you too. Someone else. I whispered aloud, my voice trembling. Who could it be? At that moment, a soft knock on the door froze me. My daughter-in-law jumped, her face pale. I told you. No one should come here, she hissed. I approached cautiously, peering through the peephole. No one was there. Just an envelope, like before, lying on the carpet. My hands shook as I opened it. This note was different, sharper, more urgent. If you step into the back office, you will see what no one else can. But once you see it, there is no going back. Choose carefully. I felt a shiver run down my spine. The back office. It called to me like a dark whisper I couldn't ignore. My mind battled fear and curiosity. I knew my daughter-in-law was right. There was danger, but something in me wanted to see the truth. To know, the next morning, I tried to distract myself. Breakfast in the hotel restaurant was busy and lively, with the chatter of guests and the clatter of dishes. But my thoughts kept drifting back to the old lady, to the back office, and the strange notes. My daughter-in-law stayed close, her hand never leaving mine. Her eyes constantly scanning the room. You really want to go there? She asked quietly, nodding toward the lobby. I don't know, I admitted, but I feel like I need to. I need to understand what's going on. She sighed, frustrated and frightened. You have no idea what you're getting into. If you step in there, everything will change forever. I hesitated, weighing my fear against my curiosity. The notes, her warnings, they all pointed to something important. Something I couldn't ignore. And so, after breakfast, I told her I have to do it. I can't stay in the dark. Not when it's staring me in the face. She looked at me, a mixture of despair and pleading in her eyes. Then, I can't stop you. But please, be careful, please. With that, I made my way back to the lobby. The old lady was there, as usual, her calm eyes watching the guests. But now, when she looked at me, it felt different. There was an intensity there, like she knew exactly what I was thinking. I took a deep breath and stepped closer. My hands trembled as I reached for the door to the back office. I could feel my heartbeat in my ears, loud and fast, as if the world had gone silent except for the sound of my own fear. And then I heard it a soft, almost imperceptible whisper from behind the desk. Are you ready to see? I froze, my breath catching. The words were calm, almost gentle, yet they carried an undeniable weight. My daughter-in-law's warnings echoed in my mind, but I couldn't turn back now. I had to know. Slowly, trembling, I opened the door. A faint light spilled out, and the room beyond was dim but not empty. Shadows danced along the walls, and there was a strange energy in the air. Like the room itself was alive. And then I saw something I would never forget. Something that made my blood run cold. I stopped in my tracks, unable to move. My eyes widened as the truth revealed itself in the most shocking way imaginable. But before I could fully comprehend it, the door slammed shut behind me, plunging the room into darkness. My heart pounded. I was trapped. I still remember that day like it was yesterday. The door slammed behind me with a loud thud, and suddenly the dim light of the back office seemed darker, colder, almost alive. I could hear my own heartbeat in the silence, pounding like a drum in my chest. My hands shook, my legs felt weak, but I couldn't move. Something in the room made me feel small, almost insignificant. As if I had stepped into a world I wasn't meant to see. The old lady's voice broke the silence. You're here now. There's no turning back. I swallowed hard, my throat dry. What is this place? I whispered. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she stepped closer, her movements slow and deliberate. I noticed details I hadn't seen before, tiny scratches on her hands, the faint scent of old books, the quiet intensity in her eyes. Everything about her seemed ordinary, yet impossible to fully understand. She wasn't just a receptionist. She was something else. Something powerful down. I saw it, a desk, cluttered with papers, old photographs, and small trinkets. At first glance, it looked like nothing unusual, but the photographs caught my attention. They were pictures of people I recognized from the hotel guests who had come and gone over the years. Their expressions were odd, almost frozen, and there was something wrong about the way their eyes seemed to follow me. I stepped closer, my curiosity stronger than my fear. "Who are these people?" I asked, my voice trembling. "They are those who didn't see clearly," she said softly, almost sadly. "They ignored the warnings. They didn't understand the rules. And now, they're part of what you might call the story of this place." A chill ran down my spine. "Story? What do you mean? Are they trapped?" She didn't answer directly. Instead, she gestured toward a small cabinet in the corner. "Look inside. But remember, once you see, there is no going back." My hands shook as I opened the cabinet. Inside were folders, each labeled with a name, a date, and a short description. As I flipped through them, I saw stories, tragic, mysterious, frightening stories of guests who had stayed at the hotel. Some had disappeared without a trace, others had gone mad, and a few were never the same again. I stepped back, feeling the weight of what I was seeing. This is unbelievable. Why are you showing me this?" The old lady's gaze was calm, unwavering. "Because you are ready, and because someone is watching you just as you were warned." My stomach twisted. Watching me? Who? Why? Before she could answer, a faint sound came from behind me, a low whisper, almost a hiss. I turned, but there was no one there. Shadows seemed to stretch along the walls, moving as if alive. I could feel eyes on me, though I couldn't see who or what they belonged to. My daughter-in-law's warnings came rushing back. "Don't trust her. Don't go there. You'll regret it." And now, trapped in the back office, I understood her fear. The room pulsed with a strange energy, as if it were aware of my presence. I felt both terrified and drawn to what was unfolding. Something told me that the old lady knew far more than she was letting on then. I noticed a small key lying on the desk, attached to a tag that read, "The truth lies beyond this door." I hesitated. My hands hovered over the key, trembling. Part of me wanted to run, to escape the room, and never look back. But another part, the part that had been curious from the beginning, urged me forward. Before I could decide, the old lady spoke again. "Time is short. The choice is yours. Step through and face the truth. Or step back and remain in ignorance." I swallowed hard, feeling the cold sweat on my forehead. My heart raced, every beat louder than the last. I knew that whatever lay beyond that door could change my life forever. I picked up the key, feeling its weight in my hand. My fingers trembled as I turned it slowly. The lock clicked. The door creaked open, revealing a narrow corridor bathed in dim, flickering light. The air smelled faintly of dust and old wood, but also something else. Something I couldn't name. I stepped forward cautiously. Each step echoed in the corridor, the sound bouncing off the walls. Shadows danced and shifted, making me question what I saw. Then I heard a soft whisper again, this time closer, urgent. "You shouldn't be here." "But you are." "Be careful." I froze. The voice was not the old lady's. It was something else. Someone else? The warning was real. Danger was real. And I realized, with a chill crawling up my spine, that this hotel, this back office, and the old lady, none of it was ordinary. And I had just stepped into something far bigger and far darker than I had ever imagined. I still remember that day like it was yesterday. The corridor beyond the locked door stretched out before me, narrow and dimly lit. The flickering light casting long, moving shadows across the walls. My heart pounded so loudly I thought it might burst from my chest. The air smelled of dust, old wood, and something metallic like rusted metal or dried blood. I felt a chill crawl over my skin. Each step I took echoed in the corridor. But there was something else, a faint, almost whispering sound, like someone breathing softly behind me. I spun around, but the corridor was empty. No one was there. My hands shook as I gripped the key tighter, and I wished more than anything that my daughter-in-law had been here to warn me in person. The whispers continued, soft and urgent. "Go back. It's not safe." You don't understand. The voice was close, almost inside my head, making my teeth chatter. I wanted to run, but my feet refused to move. Some part of me was drawn forward, desperate to discover the truth. The corridor ended at another door. This one was heavy, made of old wood, with strange carvings that seemed almost alive. They twisted and turned, forming patterns I couldn't understand. My fingers trembled as I touched the door, feeling the cold surface beneath my skin. The whispers stopped for a moment, replaced by silence so thick it pressed on my ears. I inserted the key into the lock. The mechanism was stiff, but with a twist and a click, the door opened slowly. Beyond it was a room, small but cluttered, filled with old furniture, stacks of papers, and photographs pinned to the walls. The air was heavy, filled with a strange energy that made my skin tingle. And then I saw her, the old lady. But she was not behind the reception desk. She stood in the middle of the room looking at me, her expression calm but unreadable. Her hands were folded and her eyes glinted with an intelligence I had never seen before. "You came," she said softly. "I wasn't sure you would." Swallowed hard. I had to know. I had to see what was really going on. Her gaze swept over me like a blade. Curiosity is a dangerous thing. But you are here now. There is no turning back. What you are about to see will change everything. I felt a cold shiver run down my spine. Change everything. How? What? What is this place? She didn't answer directly. Instead, she pointed to the photographs pinned to the walls. I stepped closer, my eyes scanning the images. Faces of men and women, some smiling, some terrified, some frozen in time. It was impossible to look away. Each photo seemed to tell a story, but the stories were incomplete, leaving me with an overwhelming sense of dread. "These people," I whispered, my voice trembling. "What happened to them?" "They broke the rules," she said simply. "They didn't listen, didn't understand, and they paid the price. This hotel, it's not ordinary. It observes, it records, it corrects." I took a step back, my stomach twisting. "Corrects? What do you mean? What kind of hotel does this?" She sighed softly, a sound almost sad. "A place like no other. A place where reality and choice intersect. Where the unobservant are punished and the observant are tested." I felt a chill, a mix of fear and disbelief. "Tested me?" "Yes," she said, her voice calm but powerful. "You were warned. You were given choices. And now you are here. You are being tested to see if you can understand what others could not." I looked around the room again. Every paper, every photograph, every shadow seemed to hum with a strange life of its own. The feeling of being watched returned, stronger than before, pressing down on me. My hands shook, and I realized that I had no idea what I was stepping into or how I could survive it. Suddenly, sound came from behind me, low and deliberate, a soft knock, echoing through the room. My heart jumped. I turned slowly. The door I had entered through was closed again, though I had not touched it. The whispers returned, louder this time, urgent and desperate. "You shouldn't be here. Leave, run while you can." I froze, my eyes scanning the shadows. There was no one there, and yet the feeling of being observed was overwhelming. My mind raced. Was it a warning or a trap? The old lady's voice broke through, calm but commanding. "Ignore the whispers. They are the echoes of the past, those who failed the test. They want you to turn back, to escape responsibility. But you did not come this far to retreat. Are you ready to see the truth?" I hesitated, my heart pounding so hard I could barely breathe. Fear and curiosity warred inside me. I wanted to run. I wanted to escape this strange, impossible place. But something deep inside me, the need to know, to understand, pushed me forward. "Yes," I whispered, my voice shaking. "I'm ready." Her eyes glinted. "Then watch carefully. And remember, once you see it, nothing will ever be the same." As she moved aside, I saw the corner of the room I had not noticed before. There was a small, old-fashioned mirror framed in dark wood, its surface rippling slightly, almost as if it were water. The old lady gestured toward it. "Look," she said simply, "the truth is reflected there. But be careful. Some truths are not meant to be spoken. Some truths change the heart forever." I stepped closer, my pulse racing. My reflection stared back at me, but it was not only me. Shadows moved within the glass, faces appeared and vanished, whispers threaded through the air. And then I saw someone moving behind my reflection, something familiar and terrifying at the same time, and I realized with a cold, sinking fear that I was no longer alone in the room. I still remember that day like it was yesterday. The moment I saw the movement in the mirror, my breath caught in my throat. My reflection trembled slightly, but it wasn't just me. Shadows twisted behind me, forming shapes that shouldn't exist, faces that shouldn't be alive. My heart raced so fast I thought it might burst. My hands shook as I reached toward the glass. The old lady's voice cut through the silence, calm and deliberate. "Do not touch it. What you see is the truth, but the truth is dangerous." I swallowed hard, my eyes fixed on the mirror. Faces appeared and disappeared, some screaming silently, some staring with empty eyes, and some horrifyingly familiar. There was a man I had seen in the lobby earlier, smiling politely at guests, yet here his eyes were wide with fear. There was a woman with tears frozen on her cheeks, and a child who seemed to whisper something I couldn't hear. "Who are they?" I whispered, my voice barely audible. My body trembled. "Why are they here?" "They are the lost," she said softly, almost mournfully. "Those who did not see, who did not listen, who did not understand. They are trapped in the reflection. Part of this place now. You could be next if you make the wrong choice." I took a step back, my stomach twisting. The weight of her words pressed down on me. Trapped? But how? This is just a mirror. How can it trap people? Her eyes narrowed slightly, intense but calm. "This is no ordinary mirror. It shows the truth, the hidden reality behind appearances. It reflects choices and consequences. Those who stare too long or try to manipulate it become part of it. They disappear from the world outside, forever." I shivered. My curiosity warred with fear. Part of me wanted to look away, to run, to escape this impossible place. But another part, the part that had led me here in the first place, pulled me closer. I needed to understand. I needed to see Dot as I approached. A soft whispering began again, but this time it wasn't in the room. It was inside the mirror. The voices were faint, desperate, almost pleading. "Don't look. Don't come closer. Leave while you can." My hands shook violently. What do you want me to do?" I asked aloud, though I knew no one could answer. The old lady stepped closer, her presence calm, unyielding. "Watch carefully. The choice is yours, but the consequences are real. You are at the threshold now. One step forward, and nothing will ever be the same." I hesitated, my mind spinning. The mirror pulsed faintly, rippling like water. I could see shapes moving inside, shadows writhing, faces screaming silently. Something familiar emerged, a figure I knew, or thought I knew. My stomach twisted in fear. It was my daughter-in-law standing behind me in the mirror, her eyes wide with terror, her mouth opening as if to scream. I spun around. She was there, in the room, safe but only just. She grabbed my arm, shaking me hard. "Stop!" she shouted. "If you go any closer, you'll be trapped too. I have to see," I stammered, my voice shaking. "I need to understand. I can't turn back now. You don't know what you're doing." She shouted. "It will take everything from you." The old lady moved closer to the mirror, placing her hand lightly on its surface. The ripples intensified, and a strange humming sound filled the room. The shadows inside the mirror twisted violently, faces screaming silently, voices crying out in despair. "Step closer," the old lady said softly. "Look and understand the truth." My legs moved almost against my will, drawing me nearer to the mirror. My reflection stared back at me, but it wasn't entirely me. The shadows behind my reflection seemed to reach out, their long fingers stretching toward my eyes, my heart, my very soul. I felt a cold pulling force, like the air itself was trying to drag me in. Stop. My daughter-in-law screamed, but I was already at the edge, staring into the impossible. And then I saw it, the truth. Something beyond explanation, beyond reality. A hidden layer of the world where secrets festered, where people disappeared when they didn't obey the rules. Faces I had trusted, strangers I had seen in the hotel lobby, even parts of myself, twisted into shapes I couldn't comprehend. And among them, something I recognized immediately. A shadow that belonged to the person who had been leaving the notes. The realization hit me like ice water. The old lady was not just observing. She was guiding. She was testing. And the consequences of my choice could destroy me. I froze, paralyzed by fear and awe, unsure whether to pull back or step forward. The shadows inside the mirror reached toward me, and the whispering voices grew louder, more urgent, more desperate. Leave. Turn back. Don't let it take you. And I understood with a sickening certainty that whatever choice I made now would change my life forever. I still remember that night like it was yesterday. My heart was hammering in my chest as I stood frozen in front of the mirror, its rippling surface reflecting not just my face, but the shadows behind me. Faces twisted with fear, reaching out, silent screams filling my mind. The air was thick, almost suffocating, and I could feel my pulse in my throat. The old lady stood beside me, calm, almost serene. "You must choose," she said softly. "Step forward and see, or step back and remain ignorant. But know this, there is no middle ground." I swallowed hard, my hands trembling. My daughter-in-law's warnings rang in my ears. "If you go any closer, you'll be trapped too." Fear warred with curiosity. I wanted to turn back, to leave this place and never think about it again. But another part of me, the part that had driven me to discover the truth, urged me forward. I took a hesitant step closer. The mirror's ripples seemed to respond to my movement, growing stronger, darker. Shadows swirled inside, faces pressing toward me, whispering in voices I couldn't fully understand. "Come. See? Understand." I shivered. My reflection wavered, shifting into something I could barely recognize. My body felt strange, as if it was both mine and not mine. A cold, pulling sensation gripped me, like the mirror itself wanted to draw me in, to make me part of it. "Stop!" My daughter-in-law shouted, grabbing my arm, but I pulled away gently. I couldn't let fear control me now. I had come this far. I had to see. The old lady's eyes glinted. "Then look carefully. Understand, and you will see the truth that others cannot." I stared into the mirror, my eyes straining to make sense of what I saw. The shadows formed a story of people who had visited this hotel, ignored the rules, and vanished. Each figure was a warning, a lesson. Faces twisted in fear, some crying silently, others pleading for help that would never come. I realized with horror that these weren't just random guests, they were the lost. Trapped by their choices. And then I saw it, a figure moving differently from the others. Strong, deliberate, almost controlling. Someone I recognized from the notes, the one who had been leaving them. Their eyes met mine through the mirror, sharp, knowing. Almost daring me to act. "You see it now," the old lady said softly, her hand still on the mirror. "The balance of this place, the rules, the watchers. It is all here. And now you must decide, will you follow the truth or turn away?" I swallowed hard, feeling the cold fear wrap around me like chains. Every instinct told me to run, to retreat to the safety of ignorance. But curiosity, the hunger to understand, pushed me forward. My body moved almost without my control, my reflection merging with the shadows inside. Suddenly, a loud crashing noise came from behind me. I spun around. The door to the back office had slammed shut, though no wind had blown. My daughter-in-law was standing there, her face pale, her hands trembling. "If you step any closer, there's no coming back," she cried. I hesitated, my hand hovering above the mirror. My mind raced. Could I trust her warning? Or was it just fear controlling her? The pull from the mirror grew stronger, almost physical. I could feel it tugging at me, pulling me toward the shadows, toward the truth hidden within. Then something moved inside the mirror, hand reaching out toward me. My stomach twisted, my breath caught. It wasn't just my reflection anymore. The shadows were alive, stretching, twisting, almost tangible. And I realized with a sudden, terrifying clarity, if I stepped forward, I would cross into their world, and there might be no way back. "Do it," whispered the shadow in the mirror, the voice eerily familiar. "See what is hidden? Understand what they cannot. Step through and become more than you ever were." I froze, my mind spinning. Step forward, or a step back. One choice would reveal everything. The other might save me. But which was the right one? And then my daughter-in-law did something I never expected. She grabbed my hand firmly and pulled me back. "No," she shouted, her voice breaking. "Listen to me. There's more at stake than you understand. They will take you." The mirror. It doesn't just show truth, it consumes. The warning sent a cold wave of fear through me. My eyes darted between her and the mirror. The pulling sensation was overwhelming, almost unbearable. The shadows inside were writhing, whispering, reaching. I could feel my courage faltering. The old lady's voice cut through, calm but firm. "The choice is yours. Time is fleeting. One step forward, or you remain as you are." My hand shook violently. My heart pounded. And in that moment, I understood something crucial. Whatever decision I made now, nothing would ever be the same. I took a deep breath and stepped forward. I still remember that day like it was yesterday. The moment my foot crossed the threshold of the mirror, everything changed. The world around me twisted and stretched as if reality itself was bending. Shadows swallowed the edges of my vision, and a cold wind rushed past me, carrying faint whispers that made my skin crawl. My heartbeat thundered in my chest, and every instinct screamed at me to run, but there was nowhere to run. I looked around, trying to understand where I was. The room inside the mirror resembled the hotel lobby, but it was distorted, darker, colder, and quieter. The hum of life I had taken for granted was gone. In its place, there was a heavy, tense silence, broken only by the whispers that seemed to come from the walls themselves. Then I saw them, the lost, faces pressed against invisible barriers, shadows frozen in strange poses, their eyes wide with fear, some silently screaming. I realized these were the people I had glimpsed in the photographs, in the notes, in the whispers. Their expressions were a mix of despair and warning, and among them, I saw my daughter-in-law, her image trapped in a reflection nearby, reaching out toward me. Her eyes were wide, filled with terror. "You shouldn't be here." I heard her voice echoing, though her lips did not move. "They will take you." My stomach twisted in fear. I wanted to reach out to her, but the air between us was thick, almost solid. And no matter how far I stretched, I couldn't touch her. The shadows around me seemed to react, moving closer, whispering in voices I could barely understand. "You belong here now. The truth is yours. Accept it." I shivered. My courage wavered, but the old lady's words echoed in my mind. "Step forward and see, or step back and remain ignorant." I forced myself to move deeper into the mirrored world. The distorted lobby stretched endlessly, the shadows swirling around me, forming shapes that were almost human but not quite. Some seemed to reach for me, others simply watched. I realized that every choice, every step I had taken, had led me here to a place where the rules of reality no longer applied. And then I saw at the center of the mirrored world a faintly glowing doorway, pulsating with an otherworldly light. It seemed to call to me, whispering my name, promising answers. I felt drawn to it like a moth to a flame, though every instinct told me to turn back. As I approached, the shadows thickened. Faces pressed closer, some screaming silently, some begging me to leave. I could hear whispers that sounded like the voices of everyone who had ever stayed in the hotel. "Don't go. You'll regret it. The price is too high." But I pressed on. I had come this far and I needed the truth. When I reached the glowing doorway, I realized it was not a door in the normal sense. It was more like a portal, a thin veil between the world I knew and the hidden truth of the hotel. Through it, I could see flashes of memories, events, and secrets, some familiar, some horrifying. I could see the reason behind the warnings. It's the reason the old lady and my daughter-in-law had been so protective. Suddenly, the whispers stopped. The air was still, almost heavy with anticipation. And then a voice, clear, commanding, and terrifying, spoke from the portal itself. "Welcome. You have crossed the line. Now see what others could not. Understand. Or be consumed." I felt a cold shiver run through me. My hands trembled, but I knew there was no turning back. The mirrored world was alive, aware of my presence. It had tested me, and now it demanded that I confront the truth. I stepped through the portal instantly. I was engulfed in light, sound, and sensation. Memories I didn't know I had, fears I had buried, choices I had made or ignored flashed before my eyes. I could feel the weight of the hotel's secrets pressing on me, showing me things that no human was meant to see. Faces of the lost, the whispers of the watchers. The consequences of ignoring the rules, it was overwhelming. And then I saw it clearly, the reason behind everything. The hotel was a living entity of observation and judgment. It revealed hidden truths, exposing the hearts of those who entered. The old lady was its keeper, guiding those who were brave or foolish enough to face the mirror. And the consequences of failing the test were absolute. I staggered, overwhelmed by what I saw. My own reflection stared back at me. But it was more than MIT, was the sum of my choices. My fears, my curiosity, and my courage. I realized that the whispered warnings, the notes, and the shadows were all part of the test. And just as I began to grasp the full weight of it, a shadow lunged toward me from the edge of the portal. Its face was twisted, half human, half something else. It reached for me with long, clawed hands, and I felt a cold, paralyzing fear wash over me. I had one choice: face it, confront the truth fully, or be consumed by the mirrored world forever. I still remember that night like it was yesterday. The moment the shadow lunged toward me, I felt a cold grip on my chest, like icy fingers squeezing my heart. My legs trembled, and my breath caught in my throat. It wasn't just a shadow, it had weight, presence, intent. Its eyes gleamed with a terrifying intelligence. And I realized, with a sinking feeling, that it wasn't trying to harm me randomly. It was testing me, judging me. Measuring whether I was ready to face the truth, I stumbled backward, trying to maintain my balance in the shifting, distorted, mirrored world. The portal's light pulsed around me, casting strange reflections of faces from the past, faces I recognized and some I didn't. Whispers swirled in the air, overlapping voices warning me, pleading with me, mocking me. "Face it," the old lady's voice echoed, calm and resolute. "Do not flee. You have come this far. The truth is yours to claim if you have the courage." The shadow stopped just a step away, its clawed hands reaching but not touching me. I stared into its eyes, and I could see everything at once. The lost souls trapped in the mirror. The rules of the hotel, the weight of secrets kept too long, and the consequences of fear and ignorance. The shadow was the living embodiment of all that: the fear, the loss, and the choices denied. I clenched my fists, trying to push back my fear. I am not afraid," I whispered, though my voice trembled. "I want to know. I want to understand." The shadow hesitated, almost as if testing my words. Slowly, it drew back its hands. The pulsating light of the portal grew stronger, filling the mirrored world with a blinding intensity. Faces in the shadows softened, some disappearing, some nodding in silent acknowledgement. I realized that my courage, the decision to face the unknown, instead of fleeing, had changed something. The old lady stepped closer, her calm eyes locking onto mine. "Now you see," she said softly. "This is the balance of the hotel. The mirror does not destroy those who are prepared. It reveals the truth and it tests the heart. The shadow is the fear within, the part that resists understanding. Those who fail are consumed. Those who succeed are changed forever. I felt the weight of everything around me, the trapped souls, the whispers, the faces of the lost. And then I saw the key piece I hadn't understood before. The hotel, the mirror, the shadows, they were not malevolent. They were guardians. They maintained order, revealing the truth to those willing to face themselves and the consequences of ignorance. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to look directly at the shadow. Slowly, I reached out, not with fear, but with acceptance. My hand passed through it, and I felt a strange warmth, almost a pulse, as if the shadow itself acknowledged my courage. It receded into the light of the portal, no longer threatening, only present as a reminder of the test I had passed. The mirrored world began to shift around me. The distorted lobby smoothed, the shadows softened, and the whispers faded into silence. I could see the lost souls clearly. Now they were no longer trapped in fear. Some smiled faintly, others nodded, and some simply disappeared into the light. Finally free, I turned to the old lady who had been silently observing. "It's over," I asked, my voice hoarse. I passed." She nodded, a faint smile touching her lips. "You understood? You faced the fear, accepted the truth, and did not run. That is what is required. The hotel, the mirror, the shadows, they test, but they also guide. Those who are ready are changed for the better." I felt a strange calm settle over me. The terror and uncertainty that had consumed me for days began to fade. I had faced the impossible, stared into the hidden reality of the hotel, and survived. And though the world outside would never know what I had seen, I knew I had been changed. I had glimpsed the hidden rules, the balance of truth, and the power of courage. The old lady gestured toward the portal. "It is time to return. But remember, the lessons you learned here remain with you. Carry them carefully. Some truths are heavy, but necessary." I stepped back through the portal. The corridor, the back office, the hotel lobby, everything returned to normal. The ordinary world felt both comforting and strange after the intensity of the mirrored realm. My daughter-in-law was there, tears in her eyes, holding my hand tightly. "You're back," she whispered, relief flooding her voice. I nodded, exhausted but aware of the weight of what had just happened. I saw everything," I said softly. "I understand now. Everything the hotel, the mirror, and the old lady were trying to teach me." She held me close, and I realized how much I had underestimated the warnings, the fear, and the protective love in her voice. I had faced the unknown, and I had returned. But I was not the same person anymore. I still remember that day like it was yesterday. Stepping back into the ordinary hotel lobby after the mirrored world felt surreal. The lights were normal, the carpets familiar, and the hum of the air conditioning calming, but I could still feel the weight of what I had seen pressing on my chest. Every shadow seemed smaller, every whisper from the past faded. Yet the lessons remained clear in my mind. My daughter-in-law was there, holding my hand. Her eyes filled with tears of relief and something I hadn't expected. "Pride, you made it back," she said softly. "I didn't think anyone could. Not like that." I shook my head slowly, trying to process everything. I couldn't have done it without understanding the warnings," I said. "The notes, the whispers, the shadows. Everything led me to see what was really here. What the hotel, the mirror, and the old lady were protecting." The old lady at the reception smiled faintly, her calm gaze almost piercing. "You have learned the truth," she said. "You have faced fear, curiosity, and choice. Most would have turned back. Most would have ignored the lessons. But you have accepted them. And now you carry them forward." I nodded, feeling the weight of her words. The hotel was not just a building. It was a guardian of hidden truths, a place where reality tested the heart and courage of those who entered. The shadows, the mirror, the loss, they were all part of a system that demanded awareness, respect, and bravery. My daughter-in-law squeezed my hand. "You understand now," she said quietly. "The warnings, the fear, They were all to protect you, to guide you, not just the hotel, but yourself. You faced yourself and you survived. I looked back at the old lady one last time. Her presence was calm, serene, but I could feel the invisible threads of power and knowledge she held. "Thank you," I whispered, "for showing me everything." She nodded slightly. "Remember, the world is full of hidden truths. Some are dangerous, some are enlightening. It is not just the hotel that teaches. Life itself tests courage and choice every day. Never ignore the lessons it gives you." I took a deep breath, feeling a mixture of exhaustion and relief. The terror, suspense, and uncertainty had passed, replaced by a quiet understanding. I had faced the shadows of fear, navigated the mirrored world, and emerged changed but alive, wiser, and more aware as we walked out of the lobby together. The ordinary world felt different, more alive, more fragile, and full of possibilities. I knew I could never forget what I had seen, what I had learned, or the warnings that had guided me. The hotel's lessons would stay with me forever, shaping every choice I made from that moment onward. And though the mysteries of the hotel would remain hidden from the outside world, I had glimpsed the truths and survived. Sometimes the world is stranger than it seems. There are truths we are not ready to see, lessons hidden in shadows, and tests that demand courage. But facing fear, curiosity, and choice can reveal more than we ever imagined. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your courage to face the unknown starts with a single step just like mine.